Oh, I don't got the mic on. Oh, my bad, dog. Good looks, good looks, good looks. So yeah, like I was saying, I put a tweet out, right? Made an absolute banger of a tweet, in response to this actually. So, Ryan Hart, right? FGC legend, dude's won more tournaments than I've entered. Says, what FGC opinion will you defend like this? And I was like, oh, easy. Fighting games are held to a higher and more difficult standard than all other competitive games. Deadlock, a shooter, MOBA, with literal paragraphs on items and dozens of purchables with crazy builds gets a pass. But God forbid you add a motion input and 99% of gamers crumble. So, I just use Deadlock as an example, right? Because it's the newest shit on the planet and I don't fucking know. Deadlock. Steam charts. All right, so let's just look at Deadlock Steam charts. How many fucking people are playing this game? All right, 171,000 people from 2 months ago, about 50K in 24-hour peak, right? A lot of people playing the game, and it's like beta early access or some shit. It's not even fully out yet. It's probably still super rough around the edges. But mad people are playing it, fucking way more than people will ever play a fighting game, right? How was my weekend? My weekend was good. You know what? Before we get into that, how's everybody's weekend? Before we get down too big in the dirty pothole known as Gamerland, how was everybody's weekend? Hmm? Was it good? You guys have a good time? Talk to me. Let me know, chat. Need to know. I must know. I need to know. You got forfeit taking a turn that's all expecting to get first in. Hey man, sometimes you just have bad days. Or sometimes people who are good show up that you don't expect to. What do I think is winning fighting game of the year? Um, if you involve rigging and bribery, multiverses. If it's fair and just, Tekken 8. So if it's a fair and just system, Tekken 8 wins. But if you involve rigging and bribery, multiverses wins. Even though multiverses is down like $100 million or something. You got a concert? Are you playing or are you watching? You agree but disagree? Well, I mean, look at the other games. Grand Blue Rising is just Grand Blue 1.5. Under Night 2 is just Under Night 1.5. What the fuck else is on there? Marvel Collection is just old games being ported over. Rivals of Aether got jammed for multiverses. Rivals of Aether should have been on there. What the fuck else is on there? What's the other game? There's one more game. It's multiverses, Tekken 8, fucking Blaze Blue, Marvel Collection. One more. I can't remember what it is. Yeah, who you watching, Pigden? Grand Blue, right. More, it's Tekken, Multiverses, Grand Blue, fucking Marvel Collection. Wait, shit. Grand Blue, Tekken, Multiverses, Marvel Collection. Sparking Zero, that's the other fucking game. Thank you. Thank you. Oh shit. I mean, maybe Sparking Zero will win. Maybe Sparking Zero will pull the robbery. Could. Sparking Zero could easily pull robbery. They won't deserve it. Ill Bill and Rab the Rapper. I know Ill Bill. I don't think I know Kill Bill. You're on YouTube. I can't play you Ill Bill. Damn. See, if you're on Twitch, I can play you some Ill Bill. But you're not on Twitch. So you're gonna have to look up Ill Bill. I mean, Sparky Zero should have been replaced for Rivals, but you know, semantics. What are you gonna do though? You know. But like the real fucking travesty is DLC being nominated for Game of the Year. I need Balatro to pull the upset of the fucking century, bro. I need Balatro to win Game of the Year. I need that shit to pull a fucking what was that one game called? It Takes Two. I need Balatro to pull an It Takes Two. That's what I fucking need to happen. Let's see. Do I know Kill Bill? Kill Bill. Maybe. This guy looks familiar. If Multiverses gets some, yeah. How is the game nominated twice? By the way, how is it nominated twice? You could have put Rivals on there. You could put Under Night 2. But I mean, realistically, if you know what, let's just look at it. Game Awards fighting game nominations. Okay, so if we look at this list, right? No, I'm not gonna disable my ad block. Fuck you, Event Hubs. All right, so if we look at this list, factually, there's really only one nomination here. That's Tekken 8. Game was already nominated and it robbed KOF. This is just a re-release of a bunch of old games. This is just Grand Blue DLC. It's not really, I wouldn't call this Grand Blue 2 or like a separate game. You know? They just released a big expansion pack. And then this is Sparky and Zero, right? So 4 of these games do not fit this bill. You could have put Rivals in here. Completely new fighting game. Doing decently well for itself. And replace one of these. Tekken 8 has such... Listen, Tekken 8 is the only viable answer here. Alright? It is the only realistic, viable answer on this list. Okay? Terrible game. Took way too long to become decent. Lost Osplay. You know what? It's multi versus Steam charts. Oh my god, that's terrible. And a new season just came out. That's fucking terrible, dude. That is awful. For a game this big, this free to play game? That's terrible. Tekken came out, what, like at the beginning of this year or some shit, right? I think so. And then, like I said, all the other games have no... They're kind of cheating. Being on this list, like the motherfucking game got nominated during beta and it won. It should not be back. It's not like it's a new game. In fact, it was worse than what it was. And it's barely better than what the beta was as of recent. Re-release of a bunch of old games. Not really a new game, you know? It's just an expansion. It's like that'd be like saying every Final Fantasy 14 expansion is a new game, you know? It's not. It's just added content to the original game. You know what? Let me see. Let me look at my barometer. Grand Blue. So it's Grand Blue versus Rising. Let's see. Grand Blue versus. Can you just get like the OG game, or is it now automatically upgraded? Is it automatically just upgraded to Rising? Because if it's automatically upgraded to Rising, did they just take OG off the marketplace? I think they did, huh? Yeah, it looks like they took the OG one off the playlist or off the marketplace. So yeah, it's just an expansion because you needed OG Grand Blue to play it, but then they just took OG Grand Blue off and they're like, yeah, this is fucking the game now. It's like Overwatch 2, basically. It's just an expansion, you know. Damn, I brushed my teeth like 20 minutes ago and I can't have my fucking teeth. So, Tekken 8 is the only viable answer here. Okay, but anyways, let's get to the topic at hand, right? About this tweet I put out. So, I want to say, anyways, if you just joined, we're talking about this tweet I made, right? Reinhardt, FGC legend, said, "What FGC opinion will you defend like this?" I said, "Fighting games are held to a higher and more difficult standard than all other competitive games. Deadlock, a shooter MOBA with literal paragraphs on items and dozens of purchables with crazy builds, gets a pass, but God forbid you add a motion input, and 99% of gamers crumble." This is true. This is 1000% true. And all these games are very fucking difficult in their own right. It's just the presentation of that difficulty is what keeps people playing. So, with a I guess I should show you the numbers. With a banger viral ass tweet like this, right? You're gonna get some pushback. At 2.4k retweets, 15k likes, fucking 872k views. So you're gonna get pushback. And I kind of highlighted some of my favorite responses here. People that just have no fucking clue what they're talking about. Now, let me just say this before we look at any of these dumbass responses from fucking idiots who fucking take hits from whippets before they post. I think if you're a fighting game player, you understand this take more when you're a fighting game player and you're looking at other competitive games. Right, I think you understand what I'm saying here, as opposed to if you only play MOBAs, if you only play first-person shooters, and you're looking from that perspective. I think your perception is skewed if you've never played a fighting game and been decent at it. And fighting games have never been easier. You don't even have to fucking do motion inputs anymore. Right? Street Fighter has modern. Grand Blue has had modern forever. Like 2XKO is gonna have no motion inputs in any capacity, and like Rivals of Aether's all fucking directions and a button press. Like it's never been easier to get into fighting games. Rollback, better tutorials than there've ever been. Shit like that. Is hella inactive. I mean, that's just on location testicle. Sounds arrogant, but fighting game enjoyers are probably a bit smarter than your average modern COD fan. I agree. It's not really arrogant. It's just that we were given less resources from the very beginning, but yet we still persevered. But anyways, let's look at some of these responses, right? I like this one. We're comparing frame data to buying anti-heal in a free-to-play mobile game with community build preset menus now. Alright, well, first of all, this guy's a fucking idiot because 99% of gamers don't have, or I should say fighting game players don't even have to worry about frame data in any capacity. Like, the only game you have to worry about frame data is Tekken. That's it. And even then, if you're not going to be a competitive player, you don't have to worry about frame data. This is very disingenuous opinion and take. This would be like me saying, "Oh man, so we're gonna play fucking Valorant, and I'm gonna need you. You have to know this pixel perfect peak right here, and you have to know the entire map, and you have to understand that if you see this one pixel, that's a person, that's a player. This is a god angle. Oh man, your position. You see what I'm saying? Like I can fucking cherry pick too, with this response. Does he not realize how stupid he looks? Thinking they're smart? I wish I could thumbs down this fucking post. I would pay for Twitter Blue if I could thumbs down post and people knew I gave that bitch a thumbs down, bro. If I could hate more, I would pay money. I would pay money to be more of a hater. Thing is, I'm in South Africa and I gotta settle with EU players on 150 MS, and those lobbies got like 5 players per region. Yeah, and Dragon Ball's pretty old, man. At least you got rollback. Fighting game player in a competitive sense, or just casually play fight? I mean casually. I'm not talking about in the I should rephrase. I mean as a whole, but I just use competitive here, so we can knock out like platformers, fucking roguelike games, shit like that. So people wouldn't, for some reason, use those as a comparison. So we stick to like Overwatch, Apex, League, Team Fight Tactics, fucking trading card games, We kind of keep it in a bubble, Having some idea of what's plus is pretty helpful, even casually, if you're actually trying to learn. Alright, I'm gonna tell you right now, Clem K, if you're a casual player and you're in Bronze Street Fighter, which you're gonna be, or fucking Rookie, I think it's the lowest. If that's even a fucking rank. Anyways, frame data is not gonna matter at that rank, bro. It's not gonna matter. You're not gonna need it. You don't know what's plus. Your opponent's not gonna know what's plus. You're both just gonna be hitting buttons, right? Not until you get to like gold, you know, or fucking blue ranks or red ranks in Tekken, is frame data gonna matter to you? And that's 99.99% of gamers are already off the list at this point, you know? So you're thinking too far ahead. You're thinking way too far, bro. You dial it back a little bit, you know? Play the Spire is hard as fuck. It is hard as fuck. It took me like 3 days to kill the heart on Ironclad, but I finally learned a godlike build. And then I kind of like fucked them up with the defect because like I got this infinite build that I just happened to come across because I switched my relic for a boss relic that Snecko or whatever that fucking confuses you. Anyways, we'll talk about that later. So yeah, this is a good one because the motherfuckers just cherry picking, but I can also cherry pick. Overwatch 2, you have to learn the maps. You need map knowledge. You gotta know where the health packs are. You gotta fucking know your position. You see where I'm going with this? It goes both ways. But again, if you haven't played fighting games, you're too stupid to understand for the usually, you know. All right, let's move on to another one. As someone who's played both MOBAs and fighting games, this is majorly missing the point. You can always learn a knowledge check and execution check. Fundamentally gates you from aspects of the game. MOBAs rarely have elements you can understand but not execute. I don't know about that one, bro. Because if that was the case, then everybody would be as good as Faker. You know? Like, even just dodging an attack on reaction is high level execution. Or predicting where your opponent's gonna move trying to dodge your attack. You know? And this is also very disingenuous. Click here, go there, attack there, move there, look there, shoot there. Fighters, there's one button specials now. Like, what? I'm telling you, these motherfuckers don't play current fighting games anymore at this point. It's not this straightforward. Click there, go there, attack there. No. You have to know how to optimally build gold. You have to learn optimal builds. You have to know what one of the 180 other characters does. They're talking about knowledge checks. I think MOBAs have the most knowledge. League, how many characters does League have? Like 180? That all do something different? That's fucking crazy. Snecko on top. Yeah, buddy. Snecko for only specific builds. Beginners of the genre shouldn't focus on frame data, just like beginners of Deadlock shouldn't focus on what all these items do. This is crazy. And each of these has like a fucking paragraph behind them, okay? Which is insane to me. Those players will look at this and be like, yeah, that's cool. If this would fucking load, this fucking Deadlock page is fucking up. Yeah. They'll look at this and be like, yeah, I like that. And then they'll have fucking paragraphs behind them, dude. It's just fucking crazy. Look at it's not even enough space. And they're okay with this. But God forbid you try to do a fucking fireball. Shooters are just aim and click hits for sure. Wait, there's a good post I have in here that makes me know that this person does not know fuck all about his shooters. So yeah, a terrible take, right? Again, thumbs down. Thumbs down. Don't want to learn, but there's learning while playing and just grinding. Fighting games are built around how. Oh, wait, here we go. People got to realize the reason fighting games are considered harder is because not only do you need perfect execution, but also knowledge checks as well. When all the skill is about how good you are in inputting, then for some, they don't want to take the time to lag. That's not to say people. This is not true. Execution barrier has never been lower. In Street Fighter, someone correct me if I'm wrong. Besides modern, Can't you do a fireball by doing down forward and missing? Can't you do a fireball by doing 2-6 and missing 3? And can't you DP by doing 3-3? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but execution has never been easier, and execution is like at the very bottom of the totem pole for getting good at fighting games. It's at the very fucking bottom of the list, dude, honestly. It's like your spacing, your footsies, your punished game, fucking just reading situations. Hey, listen, I'll tell you right now, Jagger. If your friends play Hell Divers and they're doing stratagems, they could fucking do a fireball. All right, they're just dumb and they can't associate the two. Again, execution has never been lower on the totem pole for a fighting game right now. Like these devs are doing everything in their power to get rid of execution as much as possible. Yeah, I mean, Tekken is an exception to the rule. It is not the norm. It is not the standard. DP is now 636. I thought you could DP by doing 3-3. That's what I heard, but I could be wrong. But even doing 636 is mad easy compared to 623. Fighting games don't have a team to blame when you fight. Yeah, but that point of the argument has been beaten to death. Just like it not being free to play. That's been beaten to death, okay? I'm not gonna. I've talked about that point of view before. I've beat it to death. I'm not gonna do it again. What's another one? Why do dudes act like they don't know why fighting games are harder than every other type of game? It's so annoying. If you've got good at a fighting game, you know it's way harder than any other type of game, especially in the beginning. It's so much stuff I don't even feel like explaining. Well, because you probably couldn't explain in the first place. So, you know, go take some fent, dude. All right. Ever angle they come with knowledge checks. League of Legends roster. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's. Uh huh. Yeah. All right. So you want to talk about knowledge checks? Okay. All these characters. All right. Execution. All these characters. All do different things. Map knowledge. Very important. Thoughts on Skullgirls? I think it's cool, but it's not for me. Is there more than this? There's no way. There's no fucking way. Dude, there's like 150 characters right here. League is easier, not gonna lie. Is it though? Is it really though? Or are you just under the perception that it's easier? Because there's a lot you gotta know in League. And you're never gonna learn all those matchups. Just as opposed to a fighting game. Street Fighter's got what, like 25 characters? If that. You can learn all those matchups in like a month. If that. Easier to pick up, harder at the highest levels. But see, here's the thing. I think that's a misconception. I don't think fighting games are hard to pick up anymore. So much of the level of entry barrier has been eliminated. But you guys are just under the perception of like, damn, back when I played Marvel 2, when I played KOF 13, like fucking one frame dashes in Marvel 2. Maybe they're like 2 frames, but they're still mad fucking hard to dash in Marvel 2, right? Like the execution barrier was crazy. That shit is baby mode cakewalk nowadays. League, once you learn how to build and what your character does, that's halfway done. Well, I mean, I would have to disagree. You have to know map knowledge. You have to know what to do in your lane. You have to know when shit hits the fan and the plan doesn't work out accordingly, and you have to adjust. If not, you're gonna lose and you're gonna have a bad fucking time. I feel like it's way harder to understand why you lost in a game of League or a game of Overwatch or a game of Apex than why you lost in a fighting game. There's just way too many variables that the average player cannot look at and sit down and think, this is why I lost. In a fighting game, you got hit by a jump in. Oh, I lost because I didn't block the jump in. Oh, I lost because I didn't anti-air the jump in. And you don't even have to DP jump ins. I don't know why people have this idea that you have to DP a jump in. You just fucking anti-air. You crouching heavy punch, back heavy kick. You don't have to DP for an anti-air. The only reason people DP is for better frame advantage or more damage. People don't want to be that accountable for their loss. And then they're stuck in bronze or silver for as long as they play. And so, which is a whole nother issue at hand. If you follow a build, you're not really learning what the build does, which there's a comment in here about that. You know, is it the next one? These two things are not even remotely comparable, and if anybody said this to me IRL, I would audibly laugh at them. Well, this guy just has brain rot. What do you mean these two competitive games aren't comparable? They both have execution, they both have knowledge checks. They both have a level of understanding behind them. You see where I'm going with this? I mean, yeah, but C4, we've used that argument and beaten it to death. We've used that argument, we used the free to play versus pay to play argument. Like, we've beaten that to death. You know, trying something new. In your head, it's harder to anti-air than DP. That's just a you thing. 150 characters in League, 100 items. And as someone mentioned, you could follow a build, but if you don't know what the build does and you blindly follow it, you're not gonna. What's the word I'm looking for here? You're not gonna be able to optimize your gameplay because you're not gonna know what advantages you're getting. So you're gonna have to sit there. You're gonna have to read all the items. You're gonna have to remember what all the items do, and then you're gonna have to learn how to implement it. That's the exact same thought process or execution order of, oh, he jumped at me. Oh, I have to anti-air him. Oh, I have to DP or I have to crouching heavy punch. It's the same order of operations just presented differently, but people are too fucking stupid to get that. What's wrong with an old argument if it's correct? Because these Zoomers aren't going to have the attention span for it, C4. They've seen it already. So yeah, it's the same order of operations, but it's done differently. The way it's perceived. But people don't realize that. Because they only play that one type of game. Like, I don't play League, but I've seen Worlds, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, he did X because of Y and Z. Right? Oh, this happened. Like, when they're trying to steal, like, killing that big buff monster, like, they get it. One of the enemy teams is attacking it, and then the other guy's, like, in the bushes, but they know he's in the bushes, so they're, like, not gonna kill the monster because they know he's gonna try to steal the gold or whatever. You know, fuck, it's like, okay, well, they didn't kill the monster because they know he's trying to steal it, you know? So they patrol the area because they're like, we know this fucker's somewhere around here, and then he sees that and he runs off, and then they kill the monster. It's like, oh, that happened because of this. But if somebody who doesn't understand saw that, they'll be like, why the fuck didn't they just kill the monster? It's like a Drake or whatever, I think it's the monster. Maybe people are more accepting of non-fighting games because the norm of this current gaming generation is shooters. Everyone has played COD at least a little. Not everyone has played a fighting game. I don't know, dudes. Well, people my age. You have more people my age that played Street Fighter 2 than they played Call of Duty. I'm gonna be real with you, Chief. You know, Street Fighter 2 went crazy. Went hella crazy. You know? It's more like, I think the generation that came after that went crazy on COD. Yeah, I don't know what you get from the monster arrow, but when I saw that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. They didn't kill the dragon Drake, whatever the fuck it was, because there's a chance that this guy could get the last hit because You have to kill the monster. It's not who contributes the most damage. Building anti-heal into a guy that heals a lot of health is as hard as any 7-3 matchup you've ever played. Quarter circle forward is actually the exact same thing execution-wise as a gun Vindicta build and hitting headshots and understanding spacing, timing, splitting, build order. Wait, is he saying doing a quarter circle forward is as difficult as all of these things combined? Am I to understand that correctly? If I'm reading this correctly, right? He's saying doing one quarter circle forward, which this chuckle fuck is doing, by the way, when he's strafing. I just want you to know this chuckle fuck right here and every other chuckle fuck that plays motherfucking Deadlock, when you're strafing like this, right? When you're fucking moving down and you're strafing like this, you're already doing a quarter circle forward, right? You're doing this. You're doing a quarter circle forward. You just have to let go of down. But they don't realize this because they're fucking stupid. It's insane to me that they don't get it. They don't understand. Maybe it's the way it's presented to them, like stratagems, Helldivers 2. I don't even know if I fucking spelled this correctly. You see this shit right here? You see this shit from Helldivers 2. These are stratagem codes. These are fighting game inputs. Alright? They can do this, but they can't do a motherfucking fireball. This motherfucker is doing a rolling hook. This is a rolling hook motion from Super Scroll in Marvel 3. Okay? You just have to push punch. Fucking. This is a magnetic tempest. Or magnetic blast from Magneto in Marvel 3. You know how awkward that input is? But they're doing it. And they don't even realize it. They're doing a fucking magnetic blast. If they don't know they're doing a magnetic blast. I mean, we're not going to talk about the semantics like that in Tekken 8, alright? And Tekken 8 is like the exception to the rule about like simplicity, C4. But yeah, look at all this shit, man. You probably got a pretzel motion somewhere around here. Where's the half circle? There's got to be a half circle. What the fuck is this input? But you get what I'm saying. They're doing fighting game inputs, but they don't realize they're doing fighting game inputs. Maybe you have to make like a fun game mode, right? Like make a Rainbow Edition game mode in fighting games where it's like, oh, how many quarter circle forwards in a row can you do? And the more you do, the more the bar fills up and like the bigger reward you get, you know. Oh, how many DPs, how many half circles can you do in a row? Oh, woo! You did it! Fireworks go off in the fucking background, dude. Fucking, you got Chun-Li in the back jumping up and down for you, you know? It's just fucking stupid shit like that. World Tour has those? That's a good start. But it being locked behind World Tour is not a good start. It's not that straightforward. Motherfucker! Wait, I bet I've never played Helldivers, but this is how I assume it goes. Tutorial pops up. You start the tutorial, you do some shit, and then you get to having to do a stratagem, and it probably gives you a basic stratagem. Maybe it doesn't, but the point is, it just throws you in there. It's like, all right, this is a stratagem. This is the input. Now do it, and those motherfuckers do it. But you put them in a fighting game. And they're like, this is the input. Now do it. They fucking crumble. Why? It's the same thing, but the presentation is different. The human mind is amazing. I'm not talking about reacting to something, Gally. I'm not talking about fighting people. I'm talking about just doing the input. That's it. And the windows are pretty big now to input motions in fighting games. The window is pretty fucking big. It's not like it used to be. It's very forgiving, very lenient when it comes to time, and then you could just play modern and eliminate the entire process of emotion. To be fair, you're also physically seeing the inputs when you're learning them in a fighting game, Clem. In the tutorials and the training mode, you could have the inputs on screen. Or when you're doing the combos, granted fucking the combos, what the fuck is the exact name that they call it? Combo guides that they have in the game aren't the best, they still teach you, right? To be fair, Helldivers 2 gives you a whole day to complete the motion. Yes, sure. But then people learn how to do it in fucking milliseconds, right? This one right here, by in like 10 minutes, they'll fucking be doing this mad fast. So just do in 10 minutes. They're like, yeah, I got that bitch down. Mad fucking fast. But God forbid you fucking have them do a DP motion and they just explode. They spontaneously combust. I'm not talking about reacting or inputting. I'm just talking about inputting. You're going too far. You're going too far, homie. You're leaving the ballpark. I'm not talking about in tournament. I'm not talking about playing other players. I'm simply talking about learning the game. You're going too far. You're doing too much. You gotta relax. Dial it back a little bit, bro. Dial it back. Bring it in. Bring it in, brother. But you're adding arbitrary difficulty to the learning process. You're saying when they play another opponent, when they're online, when they're fighting their friend. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about simply learning the structure of a fighting game. Fighting games is all reactions. I mean, fighting, so are all these other games. Reactions are pretty fucking big in any competitive game, if we're being realistic here. Your tank's about to die in Overwatch, you gotta Suzu them, right? You gotta Emort them, okay? Fucking, you gotta get someone's in front of you and behind you in Val. You gotta flick to the person in front of you and behind you. It's all reaction. It's all precision. Fighting games are reaction. Fighting games are precision. Overwatch is a one input game, but it's not though because you're strafing, you're crouching, you're using your fucking your cooldowns. That's not true. That's not true. Stop. It is not a one input game. You're strafing, you're jumping, you're using your abilities, your cooldowns. Fucking, you're looking at map awareness, your positioning, your teammates. Helldivers isn't competitive, but my whole point with Helldivers was they have all these crazy inputs, and the game was a fucking massive success until the publisher fucked it over. But that's besides the point. The reactions is not nearly as close. Punishing a chunks of a 3 round reaction will never come close. So when somebody pulse bombs, when you're Tracer and I pulse bomb your fucking support, Bap has to look at the support and throw an Emort in like a second. And Emort has startup. So no, that's not true at all. When you get hooked by Roadhog, you're Zarya. You have to look at your teammate that got hooked and you have to bubble them to keep them alive. So no, that's not true. Same thing in Apex, man. Oh man, I'm getting shot. I have to fucking phase as Wraith. You know? Yes, I play Overwatch. I'm almost Masters. And I've made it to Diamond in Apex, so I understand those games at a certain level. Even in Pro Overwatch, it's not that deep. Dude, they're pros. Like, it's like second nature to them. Or are we looking at stratagems? Because I was comparing stratagems to motion inputs in fighting games. because you have all this crazy shit. But anyways, let's move on to another post, shall we? Fighting games just suck. No one wants to laugh for 24 hours to play at a bronze level. Motherfucker, people have been playing any competitive game for 24 months and are still at a bronze level. So this guy just fucking takes a whippet every morning before he takes a fat ass fent hit. Use grenades as if they were Hadoukens or fireballs. You learn the timing of how to cook a frag grenade, right? Cooking a frag grenade, you're basically doing a charge input at that point. You're holding it, you're holding it, you're holding it, then you let go. In my opinion, fighting games bruise people's egos. I mean, yeah, but again, that point's been beaten to death. Free to play has been beaten to death. Not being in a team has been beaten to death. In the end of the day, fighting games are hard to master but easier to get into. I don't know. Cause like that's hard. That's hard. I don't know if it's harder to master. It's, right now the problem is it's the level of difficulty to get into a fighting game. Cooking an aid is the same as throwing a sonic boom. The idea is the same. You're cooking a grenade. You're charging the grenade. The idea behind it is very similar, right? It's very similar. You're also negative edging at that point as well, if you really want to get down into it. Easier to be an Overwatch pro than a fighting game pro. Don't at me on that. I agree with you, but not because of the reason you think. I agree with you because there's way more opportunity to be an Overwatch pro than there is to be a fighting game pro. You know? Like, I don't know if just being top 500 is enough to pad your resume. Because what top 500 is like Masters 2 right now or some shit? And I'm almost Masters. Well, fuck, actually, I might be like Diamond 2 support or Diamond 3. Might have gone down, I don't remember. But yeah, I don't know if that's enough to pad your resume. Do I need a fucking Sonic Hurricane to throw my nade? You do in fucking Helldivers too, so yeah. You could stick to one role and be a pro. You could stick to one role, but you have to know how to play multiple characters. You can't one trick anybody. You can't one trick at the highest level. That's why they have multiple. That's why Crazy Raccoon has like 4 DPSs. You know, because they're like, oh, you're better at this DPS. They have this DPS. You're out. You're in. Oh, they switched. You're out. You're in. You know. It's a very interesting conversation to have here. But yeah, so anyways, back to this post. This is just disingenuous because there's so many people who are hard stuck bronze or silver in Overwatch, in League, TFT if they use that type of ranking system, right? Fucking Street Fighter, people like on floor 3 of Strive, you know, that have never left. DBFZ is really easy compared to other fighting games, and people still mess up a lot. No, I disagree because Dragon Ball Fighters is a very fast-paced game. Yes, you can mash auto combos and you can super dash, which lower the entry barrier. But if that's all you can do, and then you find somebody who knows how to schmove, you're more than likely gonna lose. But yeah, this guy's probably never made it out of bronze in any game he's ever played, and if he has, he's only stuck to fighting games because like a lot of people suck at games, dude. There's a can I let me see? Can I find it? There's usually an infographic from games about where the ranks are. Apex Legends rank graph. All right, check this out. This is Apex Legends. You know, this is the current disparity in rank. Bronze 4 is 16% of the player base. That's fucking crazy. What is the total of bronze players? So 16, 22, 27, 31. So we're rounded to 32% of players are stuck in bronze, right? That's not including rookie, okay, which would bring the number up higher. Basically, if you really want to get down to it, about 50% of the player base, fuck, maybe even more, is between silver to rookie. And some of these people have been there for years, bro. What up, Anthony? A lot of people suck at games. Yes, that is 1000% true. I don't disagree with you. But Checo fuck over here would. Because his head is so far up his ass, he might be able to do a motion input by tonguing his fucking colon. Pissing me off over here, dude. These people act like they know, but they don't. Infograph doesn't help because the player base is smaller for fighting games, making the percentage smaller. You could still... Does Street Fighter have an infograph? Let me see. Street Fighter 6 rank infograph. I know there's like some guy who manually does the online rankings. Yeah, the only thing that we have to go off of here is this actually isn't too bad. Oh, hold on. This is a year ago. This is the only thing I found on Google real quick, but this is a year ago. This actually isn't too bad. You know, 30% iron, 13% bronze, 20% silver. It's not that bad. You know, it's I think it's slightly under 50%. But again, a lot of these people are still stuck bronze or silver. Maybe iron. So this is just a problem for any game. You know? But I think the big difference between a fighting game and learning and making it out of those ranks is you can physically hear yourself getting better. So the level of enjoyment and self-satisfaction you get is clear as fucking day. Somebody jumped at you, you DP'd them. You did that. You know you did that. You headshot somebody, they could have just walked into your headshot, right? That could have not been a you thing. That could have been a them thing. Like, oh, I killed you, but you kind of just walked into my shot. But in a fighting game, you DP'd. You know you DP'd. You did that. It wasn't them doing it for you. You anti-aired them. There's probably people rather cheat cloud. I'm telling you, man, Apex ranked as fuck. Yeah, I saw playing Apex like 2 years ago because cheating was just super fucking bad and Respawn isn't really doing anything about it. Yeah, you just also just do an anti-air, Revenant. You're like, I did that. But in a shooting game, when you're first learning, you know, your opponent has bad movement. Your opponent just walked into your shot. Granted, at higher level, jump-ins are more, there's more mental stack, but if you're just looking for the jump, you can get the anti-air. Is you're not, for example, like, I don't know, in Overwatch or Apex, you're not looking to see, are they going to use their ability, right? Do I have to watch out for that? You know, is Tracer going to blink? Do I got to get a read on Tracer's blink? Fucking is Sombra going to translocate her out of here? Do I have to fucking shoot her and then guess where she's going to go while I'm reloading to shoot her and get a read on where she's going to fucking land, you know? Oh, does Genji have deflect? Does he not have deflect? Both games have a lot of mental stack. It's very annoying and difficult to deal with. I think there's a huge wall in improving and finding games other games because there's a level where you have to get info outside of the game, e.g. YouTube offline. Finding games don't teach you all the things you... Well, I'm not talking about frame data here, C4, because 99% of people aren't even going to need to know frame data, right? But you could also say that for a shooting game. You have to know Oh, okay. What's a god angle that I could have in this game, right? Like was. You know what? Let me see if I can pull this up. This Life Weaver tech video that you would never fucking know unless you looked it up. Life Weaver tech.
In this video, I'm
All right, let me see if it's this video. Like you would never fucking know this if you didn't look this video up. Does he have it? Or you would never think about doing this. All right, we're gonna watch this video on one of the worst supports in all of Overwatch 2, okay? And I'm gonna point out specific things you would never fucking know unless you watch this guy. This guy's a fucking goat. When someone does an OS to you, you can't even tell. All right, you're going too far deep. Dial back, dial back, dial back, dial back, dial back. Okay. And here, if you see, oh, you know what? I'll just point it out to you if he does it. Let me. All right. So, why did that happen? Off rip, you would never know you could do this unless you saw somebody do this. But why did this happen? What happened here? Let's go back. What happened? Winton put his barrier down. He went to what dispatched the barrier, threw his pedal on it. He no longer has his barrier. People would be like, oh, if I just throw it in the bubble, it works. No, you have to. This gizmo, this thingamajig has to be on the pedal for this to work. But you would never fucking. You have to look outside. This is not something the game teaches you. This is something that you have to know. And then Winton just died. What a fucking legend. D.Va threw her bomb out. The bomb was gonna land. It wasn't gonna kill anybody. He threw his pedal, lifted the D.Va bomb, and got 2 kills. You would never think about doing that. You learned that from an outside source. You see what I'm saying here? Every game has crazy niche things to do. Oh, this guy's also a fucking goat. Reactions here. Doom punched Lucio off stage. He turned around, reacted, gripped Lucio back, threw a pedo. You see where I'm going with this? Do you guys see where I'm going with this? Oh, man got hugged. Get over here. These are just like typical reactions. This is just typical Silver Life Weaver fucking gameplay. This thingamajig, yeah, dude. Oh, he treated him coming out. Genius. Do you get what I'm saying? You gotta. Oh, you got post bombed? I reacted and I fucking pulled you. So basically, this is the last thing I'm gonna explain. But the Tracer came up, threw a sticky grenade on this character. They were about to fucking die, right? But he looked, he reacted. His grip makes you invulnerable while you're being pulled. So this bomb does like 300 damage. So she was fucking dead as fuck. But he pulled her. The bomb went off. You're in the life grip. You're invulnerable to anything. And she lived. And then just goes about his day. Junk Tire. Damn, this motherfucker. Junk Tire out of nowhere. Okay. This thing does like 600 damage. Dude reacted to the junk tire, pulled in Hanzo. Junk tire goes off and he lives. So yes, you fucking all this knowledge shit you talked about C4, you have to go out and look and learn, regardless of what it is. And sometimes you'll be like, well, why didn't it work? And there are other things in this video where he blocks other ults, but that's besides the point. Nothing. So when I lift the shield, things shield comes out of the thing. So when I lift the shield, it goes with me. Yeah, but like people are gonna just look at this and be like, oh, he threw the pedal in the bubble, and then they're gonna throw the pedal in the bubble, and they're gonna be like, why did it go up? Not realizing you have to get the thingamajig on the pedal. Or with Sigma's ult, with one of the characters, he has this gravitational ult where like a giant ring forms around you and like the middle of the ring is black. If you throw your pedal on the black spot, you get rid of his ult. But people are just gonna be like, oh, he just threw it in his ult. What's another good one I got on here? The worst part of this genre of post is how little it knows how other genres work. The average mobile player remains like Garen or Juggernaut. The average FPS player doesn't play ranked and bitches about sweats. The average Spolsburn guy just empty brain storage and shield. Yeah, I think this is just a terrible take in every capacity. Cause like I think this person doesn't know how other genres work. Like I've played a bunch of different games, right? At least shooters. I got a lot of shooters under my belt. Not so much League. Not my cup of tea. Ooh, yo, Dan with the 30. Thank you. Like, what is there not to understand? The level of entry or understanding for both games is through the roof. But Deadlock gets a pass. Because why? That's what I'm trying to understand. Besides the obvious free to play, play with friends. Like, you're literally fucking studying history back in high school again. Fucking this grueling fucking entire page of all these theses per item, per build. Is this a YouTube video? No. It is just something I want to talk about today. So yeah, you just don't understand it, man. What makes fighting games that much more unappealing than the other competitive games nowadays, besides the reasons we've beaten to death? Because we all know the other reasons. Dude, Deadlock is fucking crazy. And people talk about downtime in a fighting game. Aren't you dead for like a minute if you die in Deadlock? Like, right? You're dead for like 70 seconds if you die in Deadlock, right? Am I wrong? How long are you dead for in Deadlock? You're telling me Deadlock games go over 20 minutes? You're telling me you could play a 20-minute game and then lose? And then they're just okay with that? Less to deal with doesn't mean easier because people aren't nearly as good at what they do. I mean, if you have less to work with, that just means you could optimize faster. You gotta watch this Core A video. It perfectly explains why people mash. It's because they don't know. Didn't Core A fuck up an entire generation of patching, saying don't nerf, just buff? That Core A that fucked up an entire generation of balance patching? The same Core A? Like with fighting games, there's less in that game compared to, shooters that have been out forever or fucking League of Legends, but it just gets optimized faster. Especially if the game itself is limiting. They can look around the map. Oh, it's the next one. Have you ever actually played a shooter? Aim is king. This is probably one of my favorite dog shit opinions on here. Have you ever actually played a shooter? Aim is king in every shooter ever. Pretty easy to get into. I love fighting games, but the primary issue with them in a competitive sense is that 90% of skill checks and fighters come from matchup knowledge, and that takes a lot of time. This is my favorite opinion, because if you ask any motherfucking competitive pro for FPS player, they're gonna be like, yeah, aiming is probably like at the bottom of the totem pole. Like, it's probably one of the last things you gotta want to get really good at. Because map awareness is probably the number one fucking thing. Right? Map awareness, fucking angles, pixel peaks, shit like that. Because if you hold an angle, you don't gotta worry about aiming. If you have this angle and you know they have to come from this angle, you don't even have to aim. You just put the crosshair and then let them walk into it in fucking Valorant. What do you guys think about this take? What do you think about this take? Because this is fucking terrible. This is probably the worst take I've seen on here. Because aim is not king. Maybe at like bronze and silver ranks where everybody has dog shit positioning and movement. But once you get to like diamond and you just try to out aim, you're gonna get fucked up. Like if you're fighting fucking, I don't know, if you're a soldier and you're fighting a fucking Cassidy and fucking he's like just jiggle peeking you, right? It doesn't matter if you hit every shot headshot with soldier. He's gonna out DPS you because he's just jiggle peeking you, you know, just fucking dead. You can get carried in team games. Yeah, but again, that's been beaten to death, right? Like a lot of the takes that people responded to this have been beaten to death. We're just beating a dead horse at that point. We've been saying for years, teams. We've been saying for years, you get carried. We've been saying for years, it's you have somebody to blame. They're all beaten to death. Crosshair placements and game sense is king in Val. Exactly. And fucking Apex, your positioning, having a good building, right? Having the high ground, knowing where the end circle is gonna go. All that has a priority over aim. Okay? If you ask any Apex pro what their list of priorities are when it comes to the game, they'll probably be like, well, I mean, I guess now the way fucking LAN works is like you just get randomized POIs, so that's no longer a thing. Before it was like getting a good POI, but you no longer have a choice on the POI. Well, actually, I think the way they do it is where you end your day in LAN, there's an order of what POI you get at first, and I think it's randomized from there. But anyways, it's gonna be knowing where the end circle ends, outside of like having good loot, right? Like good loot is very important. Knowing where the map knowledge, you know, getting the beacons to show you where the next circle is gives you an idea where the circle is going to end. You get a good building, you get a good position, you make sure you're stocked up on resources and shit like that. And then you worry about the aim. Aim is like at the very end of a fucking game. You have fucking 18 squads left in the last two circles. No one has shot a bullet. How good is your positioning? Where are you going to be during the last end circle? Overwatch, just pick the counter. That's not how it always wins. Positioning awareness is also king in shooters. You can oversimplify any genre. Yeah, but I mean, my whole thing about this take is that aim is like at the bottom of the total pool. Aim is not king. Doesn't matter if your aim is better than the next guy. If the next guy has high ground on you, he can choose when to engage, and you have to react to that engage. And if he has like a fucking Kraber, and you have, what is meta right now? A flatline? Who's winning that? The motherfucker with the Kraber. Or I mean, in fucking League, right? Well, I guess League has more AOE. That's a little bit more lenient on when it comes to aiming. But still, your positioning is. I think in any fucking game ever, positioning will always be king. I don't think you can refute this fact. I think positioning, regardless of the genre, will always reign supreme. Because if you're in a good position, you have less things to worry about. If you have good movement, you don't have to worry about as much. You can avoid situations. Like in Dragon Ball. Motherfucker calls Baby B, you super jump and the double jump, you avoid Baby B, and then you use a special to avoid the point character, and then you call your assist. With your good positioning, you now have the advantage. If your aim is ass, then what is all that map knowledge for? You're carried by auto aim in Apex, so like less of an execution barrier if we're being real here. And the meta is to play on pad in Apex. Overwatch, not so much, you know, but there are characters that you can play that can alleviate the entire fucking aspect of aiming in general. So there's ways to circumvent it in these games, which is kind of fucking cheating. Could you imagine playing a fighting game character that did combos for you, with just holding a button down? Well, that's like a whole nother can of worms for like a whole separate conversation. But aiming is probably the easiest thing to improve on. You just literally Kovacs and then that's it. But you can't really training mode fucking, well, in some games you can training mode map knowledge and awareness and like god angles. Nappa? No, because of modern controls, you still have to execute. But if you play Moira in Overwatch, you just hold left click and she has like a tracking beam. It doesn't matter how good your strafe is. Or if you play Winton, it doesn't matter how good your movement and strafe is. He just fucking holds a button down and it just follows you no matter where you go. Moira's ass though? I don't know about that one, gamer. I don't know about that one. More pretty annoying. I don't know about that one, dude. More pretty fucking good. Aim is king in CS2. You can play very ignorantly and get away with it if you can just react to click heads better than your opponent. Yeah, but that can only take you for so far. Like I said, you could bully people in the bronze, silver, and even gold rings. Once you start hitting high plat, diamond, like these motherfuckers are just gonna hold an angle and just let you walk into their shot, you know? Anna, Carrie, June. Carrie did just get buffed. Can't fucking believe it. So, do you think amongst the best in the world in Overwatch it's harder than fighting game, assuming there are the same player base and opportunities to become pro? I mean, because here's the thing: in a fighting game, you don't have to carry anybody. In Overwatch, sometimes if one of your 5 teammates, let's just use any game, a league, Overwatch, or Apex, if one of your teammates is playing like shit, you can lose because of it, and there's nothing you can fucking do. If your Widow is missing her headshots, it's a 4v5, right? If your IGL makes a bad call on Apex, you're fucking dead. Okay? If one of your teammates is feeding in League, it's fucking over. You know? So it's a different level of problems and issues you run into. So I don't know if fighting games are harder at the highest level. They're both difficult in their own right due to the fact that there's different problems you run into. Well, Lifeweaver's pretty dog water, Tori, but other than that, yeah. Why were you talking about bringing up high level? Blah, 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 blah. Because Gally brought it up. Motherfucker said he brought it up, so I'm answering his question. He's like, so do you think being amongst the best in the world in Overwatch is harder than fighting game, assuming there are the same player base and opportunities? Motherfucking Dragon Ball fans cannot read. That is crazy. Motherfuckers in Dragon Ball cannot read. Come on, cut. It's like 2 posts above you. In a team game, if your teammate ain't pulling their weight, you can lose. In a fighting game, it's all about the one-on-one. I mean, that's going to change with 2x, but we'll see how it goes. Dead by Daylight players love to claim it takes 1,000 hours to be decent at the game I play, and I think that's swag, but do you think it applies to fighters? I mean, that brings up a whole nother discussion. Because it's like, it's not how much time you spend on a game, it's how you spend that time on the game. And what I mean by that is, if you have Chucklefuck A just playing the game for 1,000 hours versus Chucklefuck B, who looks up videos, guides, tutorials, watches other people play their character, Chucklefuck B in like a fraction of the time is going to be better than Chucklefuck A because they spent their time more wisely. Especially if they got a coach, which you don't have to, because you could just YouTube a bunch of shit. Again, it's not how much time you put into something, it's how you put that time into said something. The stream is delayed. How delayed are you? Because you're on Twitch. You shouldn't be that delayed. You're talking about using map positioning versus aiming. The stream is delayed. I mean, it's gonna be easier for somebody at the lowest level to just hold a generic angle than it is to aim. So again, aim is not king at any level. If you play Val and you hold this corner, even at the lowest level, you just have to hold this corner, which anybody can stand still and hold a corner. And then your crosshair placement is probably going to be shit, but you're going to be getting the first shot off. Which at that point is the most important thing, you know? It's just ego from that community. I mean, nobody likes to lose if we're being real. I don't like losing, you know. All right, let's move on. But yeah, again, this is probably the worst take I've seen this entire post. It's rank distribution. Me when I compare apple to orange. This be this again stupid take because all these games share the same, not the same level of difficulty, but there is some cross pollination. You know, every high level game has execution, and there's somebody who said a Yu-Gi-Oh player will not be able to do tech skill and Smash in terms of execution, but you still have to execute when to play, you know, your trap card or whatever the fuck, or like how you execute your build. If you make one mistake when it comes to executing your game plan, then it just falls through the fucking roof, you know? But yeah, this guy's an idiot. Ooh, yo, my man Obama spitting so hard it's super annoying to see read experience and they don't even realize they're biased. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, a lot of people on the outside looking in have no fucking clue what they're talking about. I think, again, I said at the beginning of this, if you're decent at a fighting game, you could understand this take on a better level, and you could understand it even more if you've played one other competitive non-fighting game and you got to a decent level. And I feel like those of you in chat would be like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, people just jump into a fighting game and get fucked up and they're like, this game sucks, but they didn't even try to learn it. But they go fucking play League and they're feeding for fucking 24 hours. And then they're fucking saying slurs and shit to their teammates. Like, oh, you sold me, but you actually sold them. I think the big problem is that execution barriers are anything casual players can see and don't realize the gigantic barrier knowledge checks are. Yeah, but knowledge checks, again, knowledge checks aren't going to be... Okay, so let me just put it to you this way, right? So fucking during the 2xKO beta, right? One of the big things was, you know, unfortunately, the casual players got put with the sweats because most people on the 2xKO beta wore sweats. So a lot of people were saying like, oh yeah, when the game comes out, they're gonna run into sweats and they're not gonna want to play. It's not gonna be fun. Blah blah blah. Well, no, because if Riot does their job and they have MMR in place, what they should do at the start is you fight a bot, and then when you fight that bot, it's gonna determine how good you are at the game. You did a 20-hit combo, you're pretty good at the fucking game. You perfected the bots twice, you're pretty good at the game. We're gonna raise the bot level. You find another bot, you beat that bot, your default rank starts. Let's say the highest default rank you could have is like, I don't know, plat. While somebody who's never touched a fighting game gets fucked up by the bronze level bot, they get an easier bot. It puts them in a paper rank, right? It's like, oh, okay. You're not good at the game, and you suck at the game, but that's okay. So we're going to put you with other people who aren't good at the game and suck at the game. You know? What if I'm the bot? Don't worry, dude. Everyone's a bot. In mind, people are used to different things. You're talking about this with a lifetime fighting game experience, and they probably have a lifetime Overwatch experience or WTF, so I secretly feel like, you know, it's easier. I mean, I'll tell you this. I picked up shooting games, and I didn't have a problem with them. I picked up Overwatch and made it to plat in like the first month. Wasn't that hard. But that's because my level of understanding in games is better. I'm not trying to glaze myself over here, but realistically, I think I'm pretty good at games. But that's neither here nor there. because I'm not a beginner, and I understand these games. You know, I understand how a game should be, and I know what to work on when learning a game. An Exert Slayer destroyed me for a little bit because of his Oki, and it took me 2 seconds of looking at Dust Loop to see that you have to backdash or IB his overhead. Like, it is very similar in like League, looking at characters' abilities to see how they work. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, it's to take out like the beginner level. Fucking, there's so much more you have to learn about League, but that shit's not gonna matter at the early levels. Are you gonna play Marvel Rivals? Maybe. I played the beta. The entry barrier compared to other games is also bigger for fighting games. Is it though? Is it really? Because you have one button specials now. Is it though? If this was like a decade ago, I'd be like, yes. But the entry barrier is so low now. It's on the fucking floor. Yeah, it's just general video game knowledge. Which blows my fucking mind because you think people would be able to do that going into a motherfucking fighting game. Okay, I'll give you an example of some tech. So, and you know what? I'll pull up the video. In Apex Legends, there's this tech called Super Glide, right? Super Glide Apex. So, what is a Super Glide? A Super Glide is you know what? I'll let this guy fucking take it from here. This motherfucker is gonna explain to you what a Super Glide is. This motherfucker is doing some fighting game shit and he doesn't even realize it.
Works by inputting a jump and crouch at the top of the mantle. Jump first and then a crouch 1 frame later. Not by inputting them at the same time. Jump, 1 frame wait, then a crouch. If you want to train the jump crouch timing in game,
this motherfucker is plinking. He's plinking. But if you were to tell a motherfucker to plink in Street Fighter 4, they would lose their fucking minds. But they're plinking in Apex. The average bronze player will learn this shit. The average bronze player in Apex knows how to do this. That's fucking crazy. But you put that same bronze player in a fighting game, and that motherfucker will crumble. Even with one button specials. Fucking insane. That the presentation and is this, I don't even want to say it's that bad for fighting games anymore. Could be better. Galley, Apex has been out for 4 years, so like the skill floor has risen, which just comes with any game. Any fucking game, right? Like even in Overwatch, bronze players are still ass, but they have map knowledge, they have awareness, things like that, you know. So the skill floor rises with games as the years go by. And Apex is like 4 years old, so that's skill that like the bronze now was probably the gold players back in the day, you know. I'm not assuming, that's just literally how games that have been out for so long go. The skill floor rises. The base skill floor will rise. So you have bronze players doing this shit. Learn how to. It's like, you ever seen this picture? Hold on. Let me pull it up. It's like this picture right here. It's literally this picture because bronze players will do this in Tekken. Right? They'll skip all this shit and they'll learn complex juggle combos. It's the same fucking concept, but for a shooting game. If you say that, then you have to say new players are too low for this. It's the same concept. It's a difficult part of the game that you shouldn't be worried about at a low level, but you're going to learn it because you think you have to learn it. It's literally the same exact thing, is presented differently. my man got that fucking stanky leg. So yes, You have low-level players learning things they shouldn't. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. You have them skipping steps, which therefore does not equate to them having a good time. Alright, this guy says, I play both. They both have their difficulty in their own right, but this comparison is wild when games like Tekken have 100 plus actions per character with their own frame data. You need to memorize at the highest level, unlike Deadlock where you can see every item at all times. Alright, well first of all, you have to know what that item does in Deadlock, and if you take the pre-made builds and you don't know what your build does, you're not going to be able to take advantage of it, so you're still going to have to read fucking paragraphs and thesis on your build and how your build works and how your build complements your character. But like, let's just forget all that because he didn't bring that up and it's part of the argument. Tekken is the rule. Most fighting games don't have more than like 30 moves per character. So this is cherry picking. Just like I could cherry pick and say, it's not even cherry picking. I can't be like, yeah, because League has 180 characters and hundreds of items. Because Deadlock may not have hundreds of characters, but they have a fuck ton of items. You know? Or Overwatch has like 45 characters, and each character has 3 abilities plus an ult, and you have to know what they all do, and you can't see what your opponent's abilities are. You have to memorize them. It's fucking cherry picking. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, and in Tekken they use 20 moves max, maybe up to 30 depending if your character has a stance or not. Oh my god, I forgot to turn off the audio. God damn it. You tried Deadlock and you've never felt more overwhelmed in a game in your life? Yeah, that makes sense. The game is definitely scary, and I've just been on the outside looking in, you know, like, oh fuck. The Tekken argument is like you only need 4 moves. Well, you need more than 4. But yeah, this is not a good take. Because he's cherry picking. He picked Tekken. And I could, just like I could pick League. Just like I could use all the items in Deadlock for an example. And even if he's just like, oh, you could see every item at all times. Okay. But that doesn't mean you memorize what the item does in specific. That doesn't mean you know how to use the item with your character. Doesn't mean you know how to use your build to its fullest potential. You know what it, you have it. But if I were to go in the game and if I were to buy a build and I didn't read it, I wouldn't know what the fuck is happening. Does that make sense? That makes sense? I hope that makes sense. But this is pretty much the end of the comments that I picked out. It's echoed by those stuck in red ring. Man. And you know what's crazy? This list is only going to get bigger in Deadlock. Like, this is the initial list that was released in beta. And I don't know how many fucking items there are here. I'm just going to say there's like 100. Right? I'm just gonna say there's like 100. I could be wrong. It could be like 70. But this list is only gonna get bigger as time goes on. Also, the objective in Deadlock is a bit less intuitive than all fighting games. Even as an ex-League player, I struggle with the FPS. Are we playing Deadlock? No, you missed like the entire fucking stream, brother, or like the explanation of all this shit I'm talking about. But basically, it all started with this tweet I made about fighting games are held to a higher, more difficult standard than all other competitive games. Deadlock, a shooter mobile with literal paragraphs on items and dozens of purchables. With crazy builds, gets a pass, but God forbid you had emotion input and 99% of gamers crumble. Can we play Deadlock anyway? I mean, maybe eventually. But, you know, I gotta learn how to play the game. But if it's just point and click, then I think I'll be fine. The honest difference is accountability. I mean, that's a part of it, but we've already beaten that point to death. Just like we've beaten the free-to-play point to death. Just like we've beaten the playing with people point to death. You know? Those have all been beaten to death. Alright. I'm done with this. We're gonna play some Dragon Ball. Oh! Slay the Spire, my beloved. I finally killed the fucking heart. It's always my team's fault, bro. I bet it is. Where is... I mean, I bought Slay the Spire months ago. I played it, then I stopped, then I started again. And then I got some mods. Defect is putting hands. Dude, I got an infinite build with Defect. It was fucking dope. I got the Snecko relic where it randomizes the cost of your cards. And then I think it's called Meteor. And I got Hologram. And then I got draw cards. So it was just a constant state of draw 3 cards, hologram the draw 3 cards again, get the hologram, get more draw, get the meteor, use the meteor that costs 1 energy, use another meteor that costs 0 energy, get my energy back, draw again, hologram the draw back, draw some more. It was fucking dope. And I started the Ren, and I didn't look up this build or anything, but I started the Ren, and I picked a random boss relic, and I got Snecko, and I was about to abandon the Ren, but I was like, fuck it, I'll run it. Fuck it, I'll run it. And then I fucking killed the heart. I mean, it was only Ascension 1, but you know, that sounds viable. You could probably do that build without the Snecko artifact. But you would need to have, what the fuck is the orb called that gives you 1 energy?